Hello, hello, hello. Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Okay, how we doing? I am Tommy Woods. I am here with DEI as the McClendon Fellow here. This next session that we will be discussing today is athlete leadership through social impact. First up, we have Ian, our cross-country runner here. Ian is a senior track and field student athlete at the University of Colorado Boulder. Hailing from Houston, Texas, Gilmore is an ecology and evolutionary biology major. He's an honorable mention All-American in the 4x400 meter relay and ranks in top 10 all time at CU history in the 400 meter dash and the 4x4 400 meter relay. A member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Gilmore has made his mark on the campus in areas of social justice, equality, and community building within CU athletics and beyond. Scarlen Martinez, as a senior director of empowerment, Scarlen is tasked with managing existing programs and opportunities to help athletes and organizations take action in support for social justice issues. Scarlen is a lifelong educator. Since the age of 14, she has been helping communities in inner city, connecting people to resources in order to better their quality of life. From volunteering in her local elementary school in South Bronx, teaching and leading in various schools on the East Coast to advocate for representing Latino families. Scarlen has always been drawn to building bridges of understanding and promoting access in underserved communities. Born in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, Scarlen immigrated to the United States at age 7 and spent most of her adolescence in South Bronx. She attended St. Mark's School in Southborough, Massachusetts, where she gained a passion for sports and saw firsthand how acceptance and community can be nurtured through sports. Scarlen received a Bachelor's of Arts in Communications and Spanish from Manhattan College in Riverdale, New York, and a master's degree in Education and Policy and Organizational Change from American University in Washington, D.C. Scarlen has a teenage daughter who motivates her to do her part to create a better world. Joining RISE gives Scarlen an opportunity to do just with that, each of our partnerships and beyond. Daryl Booker. Meet Daryl, your techie favorite techie, who teaches one of Microsoft's most important racial equality commitments, the nonprofit tech acceleration of Black and African American communities. It's not merely his 25 years in tech that brings his role to importance, but instead his unconventional path that is at the heart of truth of community engagement. Daryl created this national program designed at leveling the tech playing fields for nonprofits serving our most underserved communities. Prior to leading this program, Daryl served as an advisor for our Daryl served as an advisor's role helping the world's largest nonprofits, such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, American Cancer Association, and the Salvation Army on digital transformation to the cloud. Daryl has served in CIO, CTO roles in the past, leading of developers and nonprofit as well as other industries such as automotive and banking. Daryl also has an entrepreneurial spirit, co-founding a tech startup for the fitness industry used to hundreds of gyms across the United States and Canada. Let's give it up for our participants today.
That's going to be a tough act to follow, but I'm going to do my best. Hi, guys. My name is Scarlen Martinez. I'm super excited to be here. Forgive my voice. I just flew in from Vegas. Super Bowl tried to take me out, but I survived. So today we're going to be having a discussion about athlete leadership, specifically as it relates to social impact in communities. I want to preface everything that we do in this session by saying that we are not the end-all, be-all. We are not the supreme experts. This is a collaborative conversation, right? This is us idea sharing. This is us telling you our expertise, what we think, right? What might fit in your community. But ultimately, you guys know your community the best, and we're here to be an aid to that, okay? And I'm going to be moving around, asking people questions, which is not part of the show, Dewan, but you're going to have to put up with it. So thank you for having me. So today we're going to dive into what is athlete leadership and how does that relate to social impact through sports? Specifically, how do we invest our athletes in wanting to engage in their communities, right? The demographic that we serve in the collegiate space, you know, students from all ages in the collegiate space might have differing views of what community engagement is, right? Some people might be really excited. Some people might see it as a chore. Some people might never show up to any of the things, right? So we're gonna try to like skim at least the surface today about how can we get these students to kind of move the needle and want to be invested in their community and understand how a community investment, right, is actually an investment in yourself, okay? So, how to invest students in community engagement. We're going to start with our panel, and I want to get started with Ian. Thank you so much for being here today. Come on, Boulder, let's turn up. I thought Boulder was something. Come on. So the first question today is, can you explain to us how you are currently involved in your community here in Boulder?
Well, I like to volunteer at Flatirons Elementary School. I actually just recently started volunteering. I just do like tutor work, and then I'm like a recess coach for them. I kind of just play with them and like just help them with sports, good sportsmanship and like just team management and stuff like that. That's kind of what I've been doing recently. I would say that's kind of like the only thing I've been doing in my community because I've been kind of doing a lot with like my sport and stuff like that. So that's one because I'm really into like youth development. Like I really want to be an educator, like be a teacher after I graduate. So I'm kind of like learning from the kids and like just learning like their tendencies and how they act. And so I can like kind of be a catalyst for them to help them be their best self. So, yeah.
Yeah, that deserves a round of applause. And this question's not up there, but as you're sharing, I'm thinking, what kind of motivated you to get involved in that? I hear, you know, you're interested in kind of that post your athletic career. What are some of those motivations that made you be like, I want to get into this, I want to do this for the community?
I would say I'm really like interested in like kids and like I said, youth development. And I feel like as a kid, like when those are kind of like our most like fondest memories, and like that's a lot of like how we operate on a day-to-day basis is because of like what we experienced as children. So I feel like if I'm able to like kind of impact their lives like very subtly at like such a young age, they can remember that and like kind of take that as they go on with their life and kind of just think like, oh, like Ian was at school today and he was helping me teach math, or oh, we were playing board games with Ian and he was teaching me how to do this and that, and I really liked how he did that. So I'm just really interested in kind of making an impact on those young kids.
And Ian, how did you get involved with that here in Boulder? Was it something that an advisor brought up to you? Was it a flyer you saw? How does that work, and how, you know, what did faculty do to kind of help you get into that?
So I like how our leadership and career development program, they send emails out like every week with like different opportunities that that student athletes might be interested in. And I actually got a email from, I think it was Catherine, emailed me about this opportunity. And she got me connected with the principal of Flatirons Elementary School, and it was kind of like she sent it to me, and then I emailed her back, and we got connected with the principal, and it was just that's how it went. So it was really smooth, and I really like how they let us know, and like how they have different events for all the student athletes for like career fairs and just to get our name out there to try and get a job or like just stuff like that. So.
Amazing. Catherine, where are you? I'm put you on the spot, girl. I told you I was going to go off the roads here. Catherine, so Ian just shared that you kind of blasted emails to students about, you know, different opportunities. Is that targeted? Is it just a general email? Like, what's the kind of the strategy around engaging students that way? Thank you, Dawn.
Yes, I knew that was coming. Okay. Ian, thank you. I definitely would say that this is also a team effort throughout our entire leadership and career development team, and then our partnership with Rachel Ripken in our community engagement. And so typically what we do is we really go hunting for different jobs, or jobs get sent to my boss, Lauren, and we see, you know what, we have these meetings with student athletes, we see what they're interested in, and we just try to connect them with the right ones. So whether it's just doing an email blast or then doing smaller targeted emails, it just kind of depends on what we're looking for. But it helps when people read them. So thanks, Ian.
And Catherine, before I let you go, girl, you're not off the hook yet. What are the benefits, right, that you guys find occur when students do engage in these kind of jobs or volunteer work in that community? Can you talk a little bit more about, like, maybe how it impacts their, feeling of inclusion in the space in the community, how they, Ian talked about, like, getting his name out there, Can you unpack that for us?
Absolutely. So Ian and I have met since you were a freshman, right? And so we've been thinking about what you want to do with evolutionary biology, which is a little bit different than maybe you're doing recess coach, all of the different things that you're doing at working with our elementary school kiddos. So it is really just kind of thinking through what is going to be helpful to you to boost your confidence. And so that's what we do with all of our different meetings, is we just try to figure out different pathways to help the student athletes figure out what their potential is and understand who they are and these great transferable skills that they're getting from being a student athlete and how they can go and lend those to different areas in their life. So that's what our team does.
Amazing. Nice job, y'all. Ian, what are the benefits that you have kind of reaped from doing these programs? Do you see a change in kind of different skills? What skills have you acquired?
I would say it definitely builds my character. Just kind of getting out and talking to people, because I wouldn't say I'm shy, but like I usually don't talk unless I'm spoken to, and that's kind of how I've been since I was a kid. So it's good for me to kind of go out and go into the community and work on my communication and work on my team building and working with, like, people that I've never worked with before, and, like, get that experience in now, like, when I'm a college student, and not to try and get that experience, like, in the job force. So.
And Ian, in comparison to your counterparts, right, friends, other people who might not engage so much in, like, these community opportunities, what do you think is kind of like the hurdle, or what's keeping them from being as active as you? What supports do you think could be in place, if any?
I honestly just think it comes down to, like, being afraid and, like, not wanting to mess up, or, like, not being what you think it's gonna be. And I had to get over that, and I feel like track has kind of helped me get over that, just, like, not really knowing, like, what time I'm going to run in the 400, or just kind of persevering and going through my training and just trusting the process. And sometimes you just got to go out and just kind of put your hands on me, like, whatever happens in whatever situation that you're dealing with. So I know for me, it was really just, like, going, like, not being afraid to talk to people that I've never spoken to before, or just working with different people, networking with different people, and that was really the hurdle for me.
And do you think, Ian, that there's ways to kind of maybe work on those skills or integrate those skills in, like, your regular school life, so that you'd be less scared to go into the community and partake in different things, or other athletes that you see aren't doing so much and maybe have the same kind of qualms as you?
Can you repeat that question again?
So do you think that there's more that the community can do more here, like in your day-to-day, in your classes, or, community engagement can be more integrated? So instead of just like, all right, these are the things that we have that you can sign up for in your classes, or, in different kind of groupings that you have in the school, could this be something you guys work on so you're less scared or afraid to go into the community?
I feel like the School of Colorado does a good job with that, especially depending on what major you are. So since I'm evolutionary biology, like, I'll have, like, my professors send me different internship jobs, or different, like, I actually have a professor for my my agriculture class, and we went out to this, like, a local farm, and he was sending out basically internship jobs to work at that farm and, like, work on cultivating seeds and stuff like that. So I think it's big to, like, talk to your actual professors and, like, talk to them and see what opportunities that they have, or, like, that they know of, and yeah.
Amazing. And last question, Ian. I mean, you kind of touched upon this already a little bit. What advice do you have for athletes, freshmen, or even people that have been here, seniors, who have not taken advantage of all these like wonderful opportunities to engage in the community, to do things that are going to probably like add to their professional life after school or after they graduate? Like, what advice do you have for those folks?
I would say for athletes, it's big on kind of getting in touch with what do you want to do? Like what passions do you have like outside of your sport? And I feel like it's kind of hard for athletes to like kind of pay attention to that like when they're in college, because like they're so focused on like getting good grades and like being the best at their sport. So like they're kind of like flabbergasted when they think about that type of stuff. But I think it's good for athletes to kind of just take that time out and talk to people like Lauren and talk to people like Catherine, and kind of just have a conversation with them about what interests do I have outside of my sport. So yeah.
Thank you for that. And I want to switch to you, Darrell, now. I don't want to talk for you. Can you tell us a little bit more again about your role at Microsoft? And then I want to get into the first question for you is around your expertise in tech, how schools can leverage tech to also engage athletes into more community initiatives.
Okay, so first of all, hello everyone. So my role at Microsoft is supporting all of those entities in communities, those nonprofits, those community-based organizations, and just making sure that they have what they need to be able to have the highest impact on their mission. And, I think we all know the role, technology plays, and by us being a data and technology company, the biggest thing that we can do to support these organizations is just putting that power to their back so that they can have the highest impact on their mission. The whole reason that we're talking about all of this is just, the importance that's needed for community engagement. And when we look at these entities that's doing the most valuable work in our communities, they lack all the resources that's needed. You know what I mean? Every for-profit industry runs circles around them and just the resources they have. You all as a school run circles around them as far as the resources that they have. But these are the entities that we are hoping is providing mental health support to people, that's providing housing assistance, that's providing all those basic things, but they don't have what they need. So my role is to, bridge that gap as much as we can, work with, these organizations at a very, very hyper-local level in the communities. Some of the mom and pop type nonprofits only have 1 or 2 person staff, but they may be supporting 20, 50 kids or whatever. Those are the ones who need most of the help. So that's what my work is really focused on. All across the country, have about 2,800 nonprofits that we're doing this type of capacity support with. And then what was the second question? I'm sorry.
Well, you were just introducing yourself.
Oh, okay.
Didn't even get to the question, Darrell. The actual question was, how do you leverage tech, right, to build community initiatives, support these nonprofits, and even support student athletes engaging in this community work?
Yeah, I say tech is the greatest equalizer to all disparities. It can level the playing field super quickly. So one of the major ways that tech can help is just disseminating information at scale really quickly. So when we think about, ways to do community engagement, it does not have to always be in person. I think the pandemic taught us all. So I think, athletes even being engaged, virtually, and you may say, well, Darrell, what can they do? I would probably say the number 2 thing that I'm always asked for, besides money, is access to mentors, especially for youth. So many of these organizations want to put people in front of them. And when I say mentors, we're not talking about, one-on-one and attached to them for life. Even just, the 30-minute Zoom or Microsoft Teams meeting, for them to be able to see someone who looks like them, who, got out of the hood or they're doing whatever, and especially someone that's close in age. Of course, they would love to be able to, see, someone as great as me as a Microsoft employee, but when they can see an Ian who may only be 4, 5, 6 years older than them and see what he's doing, and he's running track, and he's at Colorado, and, Ian, why did you, decide to go here? You got out of Houston, tell me what that was like, et cetera. Those are who these kids want to hear from. So it's very easy, just to be able to get them engaged by doing just, some kind of virtual meetings.
Amazing, and I'll add to that. Darrell and I work a lot with collegiate athletes and then also pro athletes. And I say things like, till my face turns purple, and everyone's like, yeah, sure, cool. I get someone from the Nuggets to say something. They're like, oh my God, that's the best idea I've ever heard. And I'm like, dude, I was here for 3 hours. I drew you a picture. I spelled this out for you. So it's super important that we really see athletes for what they are. They're the default leaders in our community, right? We look at, and now especially with NIL and all these things, I tell the guys all the time, if you can sell someone a Gatorade color or convince someone of what shoe to wear, imagine leveraging that power and that platform to promote positive societal behaviors, right? We think, well, I'm not getting too political now before they turn my mic off and on. But it's a national election this year, right? We talk about voting rights, right? People being involved in voting, looking at the demographics of college students, the age group, right? In some cases, a lack of investment in that, and guys not promoting or girls not promoting, voter education to communities that if they did so would totally jump, would totally move, would say, hey, yeah, I'll register, right? We do with the NFL. My company does a lot of voter education sessions. We work with 23 out of the 32 teams last year. We're probably gonna do more teams this year. And every guy I talk to, I'm like, you need to get out. You need, instead of doing TikToks about random stuff in the locker room, take those 30 seconds and say, hey, go vote. Hey, this issue is important in my community. You should care about it. Or, hey, go talk to this official, right? As an athlete, because of their platform, because, they see Ian running track and doing all these things, they're going to listen to him more. That's just point blank, period. So we, as a community in the collegiate space or teams, need to be able to give guys like Ian a pathway to leadership and also leverage their platforms to promote positive change in the communities that we live in.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on what she said. Do a lot of work with NFL, NBA, a lot of teams and things. I'll never forget we was doing something in Atlanta, and Trey Young with Atlanta Hawks. He wanted to participate in this community event, so we put it out. Gaming tournament, come on out. Trey Young will be there. I mean, we packed it out with the kids. But little did they know, when they got there, they had to rotate between 3 sessions. The first session was how to code your first video game. The second session was around, we had a mock broadcasting room for esports. So they learned all of the production and the business behind esports. And then after you finish all of that, you got to actually participate in the tournament. But to her point, just the lure of the athlete and coming out, is what really got those kids excited. So how do we leverage that brand power to be able to really do some good stuff?
Yeah, and I think, I'll say this too, guys. In the events that I've done, and Darrell, you can speak to the things you've done at Microsoft, I get the most engagement when I do my kind of homework on guys and girls in teams around what they care about, right? I was doing research on you guys, and I saw your community pillars, which I think were super awesome. And then I thought to myself, what kind is the strategy and what kind is the work behind this to make sure that in these community pillars, we're providing space for athlete voices to say, hey, in the environmental pillar, we're impacting our community around the environment. I want to talk about this specifically. Or back home in Houston, in my neighborhood, this is the environmental challenges we have, and I'm passionate about, exposing this or amplifying that. Because then, Ian, not Ian because he's superhuman and is invested regardless, but, someone else who might just think oh, I'm coming in as a transplant to Boulder, not that I don't care about other human beings, but what does this impact me, or what does this have to do with me, right? If we can center more people's experiences, their actual context, I find that to be more successful. I did a rookie community engagement with the Cleveland Browns recently, and it was completely rookie-led. Normally in the NFL teams, how it works, there's a community engagement department. They curate and create all the community engagement initiatives. So anytime y'all see a post about a turkey drive, or don't put that in the recording, or, toy drive or coat drive or whatever, these teams already have these mapped out schedules of what they're going to do, and they just have a sign-up sheet for the guys to sign up for the day of the week that they're free, right? How is that true investment in the community when I'm just like checking a box, right? So for the first time with this rookie class, I went in there, I did a workshop, and the guys brainstormed. All like 20-something rookies brainstormed about what they care about and what they want their narrative to be, right? Because you're looking at these athletes who have big platforms, who have their own personal brands. Let's tap into that psyche, right? Who do you want to be and who do you want to be known as? What is your legacy? And then let's build community around that, right? So if Ian's saying that he really, in his voice you can hear he's really passionate about youth. He's really passionate about how he shows up to the kids, what the kids think about him, right? So I'm going to encourage or build initiatives that are going to get Ian, more at bats at building that legacy through, youth engagement. With the Cleveland Browns, they were very passionate about mentoring specifically high school boys. Like they told me, like, yo, Scarlen, normally, back where we're from, high school boys, high school black boys get kind of counted out. That's when people, like, if you don't have your stuff together, they're like, this guy's a lost cause. So we want to invest in those groups of guys and let them know, like, no, you're not. Like, I had this experience, and look at me. I was able to make it to the NFL or, whatnot. And they created this entire initiative. And they led all the workshops themselves. I was just, like, walking around, chewing gum. No, not really. I was working. But, they were talking to the guys, and I would love to show you, like, B-roll of it, but really invested, telling them their stories, give them the words of encouragement to these kids. And after the event, not only did the kids, as you would expect, were really moved and excited, but the guys came up to me and thanked me and said, thank you, because I don't ever get to talk like this or about this stuff. Whenever I get a mic in my hand, it's about how many yards I missed or who I didn't tackle or what ball was deflated. I don't know. But, no one ever asked me about, what I care about, right? How I want to show up. No one's given me a leadership opportunity, right? We look at, and back to the college space, we look at these students and we want them to be leaders in the world, right? Global leaders, global citizens. But what are the opportunities that we're giving them to lead, right? What are the opportunities that we're giving them to create and be part of the conversation instead of, sign up for this or whatever, which is not what I'm saying you guys do, because, from what you're saying, it's really dope. But like, how more can we involve these guys and girls, and students in general to partake in the ideation process, especially when, so many of these guys come from other communities, right? How can we bring that to here, to Boulder, and kind of merge these things together?
Yeah, and just to add on that, what she said isn't as hard as what you think. An example she gave with the Browns, it was just giving them that space to say, we want to hear from you, human-centered design and things of that sort. And when you think about where we are now and the power of media, had this been 10, 15 years ago, it's different. But now, with internet and social media, young people are seeing the world in real time. So it's a situation, they are growing up and seeing all of the things that they want to be a part of changing. And so it's almost like in DNA a little bit, and it's amazing. I've been able to witness this and see this. When you look at who are some of your community leaders, and they're getting so much more younger. If we think of kind of post 2020. And, just everything that was happening from COVID to the racial reckoning and things, the amount of new nonprofits that were formed by teenagers and early 20-somethings still in college, because they're able to see firsthand the conditions and things that just they want to be a part of. So to Scarlen's point, is just giving them that opportunity to say, hey, what do you care about? What do you want to do, versus slot into this other thing that we've already picked for you?
Yeah, and I think, and additionally, like small tweaks, guys, right? Like Ian's already working on this program, helping with this youth. maybe we can encourage Ian to develop his own like activity or maybe not a full curriculum, but something that he can add that's his, that he can then parlay into his LinkedIn account or his portfolio or resume and say, hey, I was part of this and I volunteered or I did this, and then I saw a need and I created. Now we're giving him real transferable skills that make him really attractive to different organizations, right? And to segue to the question for Darrell, when you guys are hiring, right, in places like Microsoft or like in the expertise you have, right, you work with so many nonprofits, so many corporations, what are some of the things that you guys look for that can be filled, with kind of like this community engagement opportunities that we give people in the collegiate space?
Yeah, I think he was hitting on it. A lot of it is those skills that necessarily school may not teach you, as a traditional class. Even in an example that you gave, what if y'all supported Ian and you built the Ian thing, and then, we got to get the Ian thing out, and Ian's leading it. Like, Ian's learning, program management, product development, go-to-market strategy, even though it's, it's a philanthropic thing. You gotta market it. There's so many of those other skills that get learned when you're kind of, being a part of something like that. And I think just the pure people and social skills as well. You're thrown into an environment where you don't know anybody. I need to, have a conversation with you, understand who you are, how can I help? Those are things that happen, we all know, on a daily basis, when you're working. And then the other thing with that is just pure passion. That's one of probably the number one things that I look for is, where's your passion to do the work? And for me, because I sit, within philanthropy, you got to have that passion to be able to support and, be able to do this social impact stuff. So, there's so many roles nowadays that, it intersects, and everybody wants to do this work. All day long, I'm getting hit up by someone within Microsoft in a whole nother role that's like, how do we do that social impact stuff? We want to do that. Because people want to be in a role where they feel like they're making some real impact, not necessarily just maybe making someone money. So when you have that passion, it really sets you up to do those things. 'Cause I always say, people's lived experiences don't get enough credit. Sometimes people just want to look and say how many letters behind your name, how many degrees you have. That's a part of it. But what are all those other things that someone brings to the table?
Oh, yeah, amazing. And I told y'all this was collaborative, right? So I hate talking at people, and I just want to get just some feedback, some reactions from what, Darrell, and Ian just shared, right, around what tweaks or what things we can do as a community to really set up students to be leaders in the Boulder community. So don't be shy, y'all. And I was a teacher, so I have a long waiting game. Anybody want to share? I see a hand. Oh. I think 2 people raised their hands. And can you state your name, please? Thank you.
My name is Brian. I'm with Red Rocks Community College. My question is, you are a student athlete, student first, athlete second. Do you feel like you have enough of a platform with the community to share your academic experiences, or do people want to know more about your experiences on the track? Or, do you feel like you can convey what you've learned as a student as much as what you've learned as an athlete to the community?
Yes, since I feel like I've been going to school my whole life, so and I've also been running track since I was about 9 years old. So I feel like I'm very well fitted in telling youth, and specifically being able to apply their athletics to being a scholar athlete, and vice versa. So I feel like I'm really well fitted in that.
And I also think because I'm not a student athlete, y'all, clearly, but to your point about do people kind of come more because you're an athlete and want to ask just about that and not hear about anything else? That's valid, right? But I think you kind of alluded to this earlier, Darrell, to the bait and switch, right? Yeah, Trey Young's going to be here. Come here to see Trey. but, oh, wait, we got these 3 workshops that you have to do in order to get to Trey, or Trey's gonna be engaging with you in these workshops, right? And I think, it's human nature because they see them on the TV or whatever to just, their minds just put them in this box. As a community, we can help lift the lid on that box and create things, right, around these engagement with athletes that force and entice the community to see them in different ways, right? One of the things I'm most passionate about is helping athletes really obtain their own narrative, right? Getting people to see that they're just more than a number on the field, more than the name on the back of their jersey. These are people, these are leaders that if given the opportunity can really impact change. How do we do that? We create programming, right? Like, the example Darrell gave, where we force the community essentially to engage with them in different ways and start saving kind of those engagements. Like, oh, I worked with Ian, and Ian, looked at this curriculum with me. Now I have other data points on Ian other than what I saw on TV or the stats that I was able to pull up Google, right? But that's where we come in as the community support.
And to kind of speak on that, I remember, I think it was like about 2 weeks ago, I went to volunteer at the elementary school, and I go in this one class, and specifically it's a 2nd grade class, and it was on Friday, so like the teacher they were like playing board games and stuff like that. And I can't remember what the game was called, but I had never played it before. And basically the kid had taught me how to play the game, and like we were playing more rounds of it, and I was actually getting good at it. And I'm like, wow, I never would have learned how to play this game if I never would have met you, or I never would have played that game with you. So I thought it was kind of funny how the kid taught me something. And like, I feel like a lot of like older adults aren't open to like listening to quote unquote children or like people that are younger than them. But I really feel like you can learn something from kids and like people like my age. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, and that activity got that kid to see you, right? The humanity piece, right? Mm-hmm. We take that jersey off. We're human beings. We're all the same. And we have all much to offer, right? So I think, perfect example, that engagement. Now that kid is not thinking about track. He's thinking about how he's whooping your behind on this very simple like tic-tac-toe game. Mm-hmm. I think there was another hand back here that had a question or wanted to share something. Did I make that up? Anybody else? Boulder, come on now. Y'all educators and other people. One more person before I move on. All right, I'm going to just stare at y'all up here. It's fine. Any other questions for Ian, for Darrell?
I wanted that one.
Oh, okay.
As speaking as a corporation and as a brand, mm-hmm. When Microsoft's a little bit of an anomaly, we don't do deals with so many athletes, but every athlete that there's quote unquote a deal with, it's an athlete that's doing stuff in the community. And the way we engage with them in the deal is through the community efforts. It is, okay, we will do X number of STEAM camps, back in your hometown. We'll do workshops, we'll supply devices, et cetera. But it's essentially us as a brand supporting their philanthropic efforts. So I would say it is duty as you all to kind of set them up for, what it could be like, post-Colorado and, Ian's, at the Olympics or something, and then, brands are coming to him and saying, hey, we're maybe interested in, sponsoring you. He will rise to the top if he's really been doing a lot of this community work.
Yeah, thank you, Darrell, because I think also the emphasis on that is, whether you're going to transition out of athletics or you're going pro or whatever it is, community engagement is an investment in yourself. And I think that is like the thing that needs to be underscored, because again, human beings, we're very self-centered, like what it's in it for me, essentially, right? Which sounds terrible, but it's true. So the more we can underscore for folks, like, hey, doing this is not just like, oh, let me knock out community hours or whatever. This is actually gonna set you up for success in whatever way you go after you graduate school. And then also build your brand in the Boulder community, for example, right? So if you come back to Boulder, if you stay in Boulder, people know you, people remember you for what you did in the community, and they look out for you too, right? And they set you up, or potential job opportunities or whatever. Like, you said Ian will be on top of the list, or whatever student is taking this seriously. Now, I don't want to run out of time, but I did really want to share this slide with you guys, and we do have some materials that you'll be able to take home and kind of reflect on this. But just, again, like we just said, community engagement is an investment in you, right? You're investing in the community, but really you're investing in yourself. And just want to highlight 4 different ways this happens. We kind of touched upon it in the panel. Skill building, right? You guys talked about this. Transferable skills to the workforce, right? That can really make athletes attractive post-athletic career or even in the professional career, right? Personal brand. You see now there's a lot of endorsement deals, and even if you're not getting paid to do stuff, being invited to different places, how do people find you? Like Darrell just said, if someone, and in my line of work, I work with a lot of corporations too, like whether it's a Pepsi or Starry or whatever it is, and people will contact me like, hey, Scarlen, I have, this pilot I'm shooting and I need a WNBA player or a college student, or Scarlen, I'm doing, this panel, it pays this much speaker fee, and I need a athlete from very specific stuff too, like an athlete from Philadelphia, blah, blah. And I have to go in my Rolodex and I have to be able to show receipts. Like, hey, I think this guy or this girl or this person would be really great. This is why. They align to your mission, right, and your KPIs because they do this, this, and this in their community. That's how you're picked, right? And then also with your personal brand, let's say we're in the age of social media, so it's all about the followers and the things like that. If you're a person or an athlete that's just going after a check and General Tso's Fried Chicken is like paying you to do this, that's perfectly fine, but then you also need to be aware of owning your own narrative. You don't want to say yes to everyone. You want to think about your legacy, right? You want to align yourself with brands that are moving you in the direction that you want to be, in the history books, right? So underscoring for our student athletes to understand and work on what their personal brand is. Who do you want to be seen as in your community? What do you want people to remember you by 5, 10 years from now, right? No one will remember that commercial or that car thing, but they will remember how you made people feel and how you showed up in your community, right? Like that's the difference. When you think about awards, when they go back and they want to pick, different athletes to get honored, what's remembered, right? Do we remember a commercial? Do we remember how Ian showed up every day at, this nonprofit and did stuff with kids, right? So underscoring that in conversation with a student. Mental health, right? Giving actually brings up your endorphins. Being part of something positive actually helps you also feel positively about yourself. And I think that's something that doesn't get talked about enough, how much investing in others actually helps you mentally. Also, it keeps you grounded. Now we're in an age where everything's viral, everybody blows up. People kind of are living in the clouds and lose sight of who they are in reality. When you get to volunteer in places and with people who might be under-resourced or need different things or are just excited to see you for you, that kind of helps you level set a little bit and get your head out of the cloud, and it helps you like undistort your reality, which can happen easily with social media, right? And then lastly, financial gains, right? We kind of touched upon all of this in the conversation, but depending on your community engagement, it'll give you access to people, a wider network, potential job offers, sponsorship opportunities. Ian just met Darrell and me for the first time today, right? I would like to talk to him more about what he does in his community. Darrell likely has a nonprofit he's working with in Boulder or in Denver, right? That would love to engage with someone like Ian, right? So all these things lead to opportunities that you wouldn't even think through, not just because you're on the portal and you're getting a job, but building that network, because you don't know, like the world is literally 6 degrees of separation. You don't know who you're gonna run into, and when they run into you, what are they gonna think of you? What are the receipts that you're gonna have to show them? So just wanted to stamp that for you guys. I know we're like close to time, so wanted to open the floor up if anyone had any questions for any of us up here. Last 5 minutes, if not, then we'd be done. But does anyone have any questions? No? All right, well, thank you. I want to give a round of applause to Darrell and Ian.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you guys for having us, and we'll be around, if anyone wants to talk to us offline. And then DeJuan's gonna pass out. We did make like a packet that you guys can use to kind of reflect on the session and think about next steps when you think about community engagement or approaching different people to engage in the community, okay? Thank you, guys.